Another beautiful Wednesday morning on Dominion Television, Dominion Sport, and let me welcome you to an exciting time where you can enjoy all things sport on the go. And let me inform you that Como reached the semi-finals of the Italian Cup for the first time in 40 years after edging Napoli at 7-6 on penalties following a 1-0 draw. And in England, Benjamin Sesko led strike rescued the 1-0 draw for Manchester United against West Ham, while Leeds fought back to end a 2-0 draw at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. And in North London, Newcastle depends on Tottenham's crisis with a 2-1 win, piling serious pressure on Thomas Frank as we got the report this morning that he has been sacked. And today, we go beyond the headlines as we are joined by a special guest, Biola Solace-Chukwu, a represented sport journalist who has carved a strong niche in tennis while breaking down the biggest stories and serving some ace-level analysis. Let me welcome you today in the world of sport. I am Paul Abe Toluwanimi, and I'm not alone in the studio. I have the top-notch, yes, the man who is ready to talk sports with me, Nuruddin Alimi. Top of the morning to you, my brother.
Good morning, Toluwanimi. Good morning, Nigeria. It's nice to be back here again, and we just read out the events from last night in the world of sports, especially football. And we have a guest in the house to talk us through the tennis that happened in Nigeria over the weekend, and I'm excited to be here again.
Well, definitely. Come on, I'm going to welcome Biola shortly, but we got a story this morning that Thomas Frank has been sacked, by Tottenham. Earlier yesterday, he said he's still at the backing, of the board, but, it's not what it is at this point in time. It's been struggling times for Thomas Frank. This is where we are at this point.
Yes, I expected that. Before the game, I saw this coming. He couldn't do it on the local scene in England for a while. Yes, he has the good run in the Champions League, but that is not helpful for Tottenham. Last season, they had to struggle. It was the Europa League that even ended them a split in the Champions League this season. They were awful in and they still remain in deep trouble right now. So it's just right to sack Thomas Frank, and good luck to him in his endeavors.
All right. Let's welcome Biola Solace-Chukwu to our midst this morning. Top of the morning to you, Biola. How are you feeling?
Good morning, guys. Good to be on the show. Like you said, it's a really beautiful Wednesday here.
Amazing, amazing. All right, Biola, when I got the report that you are a top-notch, a sport person when it comes to the world of tennis, I was so excited because we hardly see such, trend happen in Nigeria, but that's your niche, and we have a few questions to ask you. Let me ask you, Biola, you describe yourself as a tennis-crazy lady. Where did that passion start, and what was the defining moment that made you fall deeply in love with tennis?
Are you sure you want to listen to this story? Because it's quite long.
Come on, you can just give us a tidbit of it quickly.
Tennis is obviously my favorite sport. I've been covering tennis for the last decade, actually. So, I actually started off as a sports journalist covering only football. And I had no knowledge of other sports. I was talking football on radio, always talking about my favorite football club, Barcelona, radio, but people were talking about other sports, and I just thought, all right, I should probably just try and follow more sports. And I started following tennis, and I just fell in love with it. Really, I had to go back to very old tennis videos on YouTube. Of course, become conversant with the players that were active at the time, players that were active in the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, and all of that. Yeah, and I just fell in love with tennis. So in a way, tennis found. Yeah.
All right. You talk about tennis, you talk about football. Let me ask you quickly, what club do you support?
Barcelona.
Barcelona. How long have you been supporting Barcelona? Let me ask you. See, the days of Messi or the days of the likes of them, Deco, Ronaldinho?
Yeah, it was actually Ronaldinho who drew me to the club. I've been supporting Barcelona since 2005, so this year makes it 21 years. Wow. That's been long.
That's a long time. That's a long time. All right, let me just ask you, women's football is part of your identity. In your opinion, what is the biggest misconception about women's football in Nigeria today?
Oh, the biggest misconception about women's football, not just in Nigeria, the world as a whole, is that it's boring. Everybody thinks women's football, it's not as fast, it's not as physical as men's football, and that's not true. I always know people who don't watch women's football by the things that they say about women's football. Women's football is just as fun, just as entertaining as men's football. It is simply just football, really, played by women. And I think, that's the biggest misconception, and that's one of the biggest challenges women's football has faced, and that's why it doesn't get as much support as men's football does.
All right, beautiful. Let's come to your niche right now. One of your strong points when it comes to sports right here in Nigeria. Let me just ask you, we are currently on the Davis Cup. What's it like for Nigeria, having a big stage? And what's it like for you covering, such sports across the world?
Yeah, covering tennis in Nigeria is really challenging because, not many know about what's happening in Nigeria. When you're talking about tennis on social media, everybody's talking about Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner. That's what everybody knows. So for the first time in forever, really, I was really glad to see people talking about Nigerian tennis. And, that's just goes to show that when you put a sport out there, it might thrive. People can get the attention, it can get the attention that it deserves. So tennis is such a big sport all over the world. It's just not as big here in Nigeria, but we can get it there if we just put all the effort into it. Really.
So I want to ask you, how do we get it there if we want to put in the effort? What do we need to do to have such sport, make a global name in Nigeria as a whole?
Yeah, making a global name, it's a really long process. First off, we don't have players playing the WTA, the ATP, and that's one of the reasons why, many people don't know our players. But then there are national tournaments, multiple national tournaments every year in this country. The Davis Cup, of course, we hosted the Davis Cup, and that's why a lot of people heard about it. But we do not tend to hear about our national tournaments, and that's something that should change. I think I always say we all have a part to play. Putting it on social media, a lot of publicity. Of course, the Nigerian Tennis Federation has a lot of work to do as well. Even though our players are not playing in the biggest stages, we can still celebrate tennis where it is currently in Nigeria.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Let me just ask you, Nigeria secured promotion to World Group 2 by beating Uzbekistan. What does that achievement say about Nigeria tennis development going forward?
Well, of course, it just shows that tennis is growing in Nigeria. It shows that the players are growing. The players were absolutely immense over the weekend. Going against Uzbekistan, significantly ranked higher, it was a tough battle to face. But, I guess playing at home definitely spurred them, gave them a lot of motivation. It was good to see that people came out. But yeah, qualifying to this round where we haven't been in the current Davis Cup structure, it's basically history in the making, for us.
All right, beautiful.
So,
I know you have a few questions to ask her quickly,
yes,
before we wrap up this segment.
Good morning, Biola. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us from the highlights from the weekend. I would like to ask you, as a tennis fan, what were your greatest highlights from the weekend that happened in Lagos?
Lagos, yeah.
Yes, my greatest highlights really was seeing us win it. That was it. Wow. Seeing Daniel Adeleye win two very important singles matches, one on day one and the winning match on day two. Those were definitely my highlights. I think generally seeing the players being celebrated, it means a lot to me, really. Seeing tennis being put out there. Tennis is my favorite sport. And of course, most of the time when I'm on interviews like this or I'm talking tennis on social media, people are responding to my posts on, like I mentioned, Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek. But seeing us having conversations around our own tennis, it's major for me. And I think that's big for tennis as a whole in Nigeria. Okay,
I'm just going to ask you, for young Nigerians, tuning in and watching the Davis Cup, how much of as an impact does it have, on Nigeria, and why should we follow? If you want to encourage us, those of us that is just football for us or basketball, how do you encourage us to follow tennis?
Tennis is so much fun, really. It is so much fun. I heard a lot of people who went out and watched the Davis Cup mention that it was so much fun. They didn't know they could have this much fun watching live tennis. And for some that are already tennis enthusiasts, to watch live tennis at home was a big deal for them. So there are so many other sports outside football, even though we know we are a really football-focused country, but it's so much fun. There's so much to learn. Of course, it can make your heart race a lot. Tennis is quite stressful, but football is stressful too,
Watching the Australian Open semi-final.
Watching the Australian Open semi-final, how stressful can it be? Come on, talk to me.
Yeah, so tennis is fun. Whenever you hear that there's a tennis tournament, please go out there and watch.
Beautiful. I have a question from a fan. When we popped up that you'll be joining us today, a question popped up from a fan, and the person is saying, if you had the power to change one thing about Nigerian sport coverage immediately, what would that be?
I would make sure it is less football focused. Really, that's the first
Amazing.
thing I would
But come on, they say
change.
football.
I'll make sure.
Football is the brand, it's the unity. How do you want to change that?
Uh, who says tennis cannot unite people?
Amazing.
Who says?
I love that.
So I would definitely focus on other sports. Football gets a lot of coverage. It's fine, really, but that doesn't mean we should neglect other sports. So let's put more sports on TV, more other sports on TV, more other sports on social media, publicity generally. People hardly know about what's going on, and I don't think you can blame anybody for not tapping into it if they don't know. For instance, posting on social media about the Davis Cup, I heard a lot of people say, oh, this is happening this weekend. I had no idea. Why is the Davis Cup in Nigeria a major big deal and nobody knows about it? So those are the challenges, those are the issues. So I would make Nigeria a less football focused country.
All right, the last question from a fan, and she's saying, and this is a she now, she's saying, you're not just covering sport, you're shaping the narratives. What kind of legacy do you want to leave in Nigerian sport journalism?
I definitely want to look back and, be one of those who brought tennis to the limelight in Nigeria. I've been striving to cover tennis outside Nigeria for years now, still in the process, but seeing tennis in Nigeria grow and being influential in covering the Davis Cup over this weekend, it's brought, a lot of warmth to my heart. Continue doing to bring tennis to Nigerians, easily accessible to Nigerians. So yeah, I definitely want to be known for that. I'm glad that to an extent I'm already known as, like you mentioned, the tennis crazy lady, but there's still a whole lot of work to be done. And as our players grow, I hope to grow with them as well.
Amazing. All right, just one word.
Yeah, I want to put you on the spot right now. There are lots of exciting players on tour right now, both on the ATP tour and the WTA tour. So I would like to ask you your current favorite players and your all-time greatest.
And why? And why?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you really did put me on the spot. My current favorite players on the tour in the ATP, I think I would say Carlos Alcaraz.
Wow. Nice pick.
I watched him for the first time as a 16, 17-year-old, and I
Beautiful.
that tweet after the Australian Open when I mentioned that he was going to be a good problem in tennis. I always dig out my old tweets like that. So Carlos Alcaraz is one of those players that means a lot to me. On the WTA tour, I support like a bunch of players. Even on the ATP, I support like a bunch of players, but some of my favorites are Iga Swiatek, Naomi Osaka as well, because, I've watched her since she was really young as well. I cannot mention a long list, but yeah, those are the few players that I really like.
Oh, beautiful. What about your legends? You didn't mention your legends.
Mentioned all-time greats.
Yeah, your all-time greats.
You mentioned all-time greats. I think everybody, well, not everybody might agree, but when it comes to all-time greats, there's a personal GOAT and there's a factual GOAT. So there are two different things. So my personal GOAT is Roger Federer.
Beautiful.
And the person that I know is the greatest of all time, of course, is Novak Djokovic. So there are two different things.
Amazing, amazing. All right, Biola, that's all we can take, from this segment this morning. I want to say a big thank you to you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll keep rooting for you. We'll keep following you. I will hope that anytime we call upon, you can join us on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much, Biola. All right, there you have it. That's Biola Solace-Chukwu joining us this wonderful morning. Exciting time to have her, join us. And Nuruddin, it's been a work in progress. And I would say big thank you also for bringing Biola on board. Amazing time, and I think we'll be looking forward to so much to offer right there, and especially in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, and I saw talks. She mentioned David Adeleye.
Yeah, David Adeleye.
It was the star of the show for the Davis Cup this weekend, and it was just exciting for Nigerian fans to have a taste of what it feels. We all cheer on Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, and the likes for it, and to see the fans come out to cheer on our own and getting the vital victory and promotion to the next round is very, very important for us, and it's exciting to see.
Beautiful. All right, exciting time right there in the world of tennis, and we'll be bringing you more on the show as time permits us. Let's move away from that and let's talk about what happened yesterday. You know, I said something. I said the twins will never leave themselves.
Yes.
You know, I said that yesterday, and it happened yesterday. Come on, let's look at that quickly.
You mentioned it. Two idiot twins.
Yeah.
They got managers changed at almost the same time. They picked up form at almost the same time. They've both won loads of games, and yesterday again, the first one drew the game, and the second one drew very late on. So, if anyone is wondering who the idiot twins are, it's Chelsea and
Manchester United.
They both had games yesterday, and United, like I mentioned yesterday, is a potential banana peel for Michael Carrick and his boys, and it took them a late go from Shesko to get the draw at London yesterday for them. And
I want to ask a question before we talk about Manchester United. Okay. For you, was this a slip up from Chelsea?
Yes, it's a slip up, and it has happened over time.
Over time.
This has been the problem for Chelsea and United, but we're talking about Chelsea right now. The problem for them has been consistency, and sometimes, especially against lesser oppositions. And yesterday they were two.
Did you say the miss from Parma?
I couldn't catch it because I was seeing the Manchester United game alongside, so I was switching between channels. It was so devastating for him, but he had a very good first half for Chelsea. They controlled the game very well, and in a slip of a second,
they lost it.
Less than 120 seconds, everything turned around. Leeds had the penalty, a very, very, very unnecessary penalty. And Neil Okafor pounced on a mistake from the Chelsea backline. Atto and the goalkeeper, Acheponga and Robert Sanchez, the miscommunication between them. Okafor benefited from that, slot into an empty net, and Leeds believed after that they got a flurry of chances.
The first leg ended in victory for Leeds.
So this season they're a turn for the side of Chelsea, and for Chelsea yesterday, he said it's a distraction from them. They were leading, they were in control, they were leading in front of their fans, in control of the game, just put the game to bed. They created chances to, like you talked about the Palmer miss. That was dreadful for him. And for Chelsea, they would see this as 2 points loss rather than a point gain, because it's from a leading position, well and comfortable. You're pushing into the top 4 spots, LD, and all of a sudden,
you
lost it. So it's a problem for Liam Rosener and his boys, and they need to go back to the training board and get things right.
All right, let's see other results from yesterday's game. You know, you look at other results. There you have Newcastle getting a victory. Jacob Ramsey getting his first goal for Newcastle, and this loss to Thomas Frank has made him say his final goodbye for the side. Expected at the end of the day.
Yes, I expected it. Like I said in my intro, he's not been able to do it, get it right on the home scene for Spurs. They've lost loads of games this season. They are probably like 15 or 16.
He was blaming it on injury.
Injury or no injury, is a squad. It's not the only side that suffered from injury in the whole of the league this season. Arsenal have had their fair share. City are still battling it. They just had Ruben Diaz back during the weekend. United had their own fair share of it. Chelsea, all clubs, and that's not an excuse for you not to churn out performances week in, week out. Newcastle are not on top form right now. We know what they are doing, and this is not games you should lose. You drew against City. You got back from 2 goals down against City. You lost to United, now to Castle. Those are not forgivable losses, and the board and him, they needed to find a resolution for him. And the best way is to part ways and get a new man to steer the ship for Tottenham.
Let's look at where Tottenham Hotspur right now, because the next game is going to be a big game. And that's in London Derby. And let's look at where they are on the log of the table. If we can have that, I'm sure we have that. And it's worry times. There you have it, battling relegation, and it's worry time right there for Tottenham Hotspur with the arrears of players that signed the season. So if it's complaining about injuries, you send players. I don't want to say maybe quality, but we talk about Xavi Simons quality, quality.
Kolomwani, come on. Matistel is part of the setup now. You brought in loads of players. Even in the winter transfer window, you were reinforced in the midfield. You brought in Gallagher from Atletico Madrid. So
you have a Xavi Simons.
So it's not sounding all too well from a manager that's not been able to get. It's not this run of games alone that has been the issues for Thomas Frank. If he had valuable points from the first part of the season, maybe things would have been different now. But last season, they struggled to stay up. They finished 17th last season, and now they're just in 16th position, 1 point behind, 3 points ahead of Nottingham Forest, who have a game in hand, I think. So it's not looking good for him and it's not looking good for the club. They needed to change things, and the longer he stays with them, the lower they go. And I don't think Daniel Levy and the board members would want to manage another relegation battle. They need to change things fast and have 12 games to do that.
All right, let's look at other results quickly. You look at Everton also picking up a loss, and Bournemouth are picking up that victory. And we're going to drop an update because Jack Grealish, it's not going to play at the rest of the season after going, through the foot surgery. But they lost to Bournemouth on their home turf 2-1. Bournemouth needing that victory, to help them stay off relegation.
Yes, we talked about the resurgence of Bournemouth yesterday. They seem to turn things around. Yes, towards the tail end of last year, they faltered and they slipped down the pecking order. But now they seem to turn things around for themselves. I think they were unbeaten in January. Put their manager even as one of the contenders for the managers of the month. So that should show you how good they are right now. And against an opposition like Everton, they licked their lips and said, okay, we've done this before. This is our hunting ground. We can do it again. And they prepared themselves with victory. They got the victory. They got the match settled in about 5 minutes. Everton slipped up. They led in the first half by a penalty. But in the second half, Bournemouth came back with resounding effort and finished the job right there.
Beautiful. What a way to finish the job. Let's talk about the game where we thought that the influencer of Manchester United will be cutting his hair yesterday. It's supposed to be 5 games and 5, but it's a 4-4 and a draw, and still yet to be defeated this season. Michael Carrick. The game ended 1-1, and at fourth draw for Manchester United. Because you look at the
United will take it as a victory.
Yeah, a victory, because you need to look at the compact defending for West Ham.
They struggled to break down the West Ham side, and the low block was on target. The low block was exceptional. If you have players like Kuna, Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo on the pitch, and you reduce them to nothing. Didn't give them chance to play around your plus and get chances to shoot at your goalkeeper. That was a very, very
He was gutted. Nunes Perente was gutted for that goal.
He had to be pained. If you're a West Ham fan, you led up until the 96 minutes. The VAR had saved them from their blushes for the first goal they considered via Casemiro's offside goal. And you're looking at the final whistle is near.
It's near, just close.
I wouldn't want to be a West Ham fan yesterday. The heart got broken. But United yesterday, they dug deep, and like I said yesterday, it was going to be a tough one. They lost at this ground last season 2-0. Wan-Bissaka was excellent in that game, and he was excellent in the game yesterday.
Jared Bowen excellent.
Jared Bowen was excellent. He stretched the Manchester United team. He stretched the defense. Isolated a lot of their players.
Don't you think that West Ham should have buried this game, even before this goal? Because we need to talk about Lenny Yoro, those vital blocks he made also.
And that's one thing for Michael Carrick this season. I think he's benefited from having loads of senior players around and trying to infuse the young blood into it. So it's worked for him. And for the cameo appearance Lenny Yoro yesterday, he's going to do his confidence a whole lot of good. He made 2 vital blocks before Shesko put the ball in the back of the net. So for West Ham, they missed flurry of chances. At a point, I think it was Antonio, he couldn't hold his run behind Maguire and Martinez before he came off. And okay, it was Maguire and it was Martinez and Lenny Yoro. He couldn't hold his run for them before they threw the pass behind them. So that was one of the chances they missed.
Callum Wilson.
Callum Wilson came on as well. He couldn't. He got the chance one-on-one. He was flagged offside later on. He got the 1-1 against Lamons. Lamons did well, but it was spared his blushes by the offside flag that went up. For West Ham, that was 2 points missed, because before they considered the goal, there were two positions out of the relegation battle, and they were all cheering themselves on, and they got their heart broken in the 96 minutes when Benjamin Sesko, very beautiful goal, one-touch football. The cross came in from Mbeumo and he started the ball in the back of the net, and United celebrated.
All right, let's look at Frank the influencer still having the hair cut. If you can have that picture, I think, and there you have it. He was watching the game with another influencer for Manchester United, and this haircut is not. So for me, I just feel that this is going to jinx. I have a feeling that this pattern of, it's all content, but I just feel it's just going to jinx in the 5 straight games for Manchester United.
It's content, but I think it's taking the shine away from the football. United fans were supposed to celebrate 13 points from possible 15 under Michael Carrick. This is not something I think they saw 5 games, even 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, before this run of games for Manchester United. You asked me a question on the show. How many points do I see Michael Carrick getting from him? And I told you sincerely it was 5 or 6 points. And the game I pointed out was the games against Fulham, West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur, maybe 5 or 6 points from those games. I thought they were going to lose against Arsenal and City, because bringing a new manager, a team that has been in disarray for long, and this whole charade about haircut or no
Haircut
haircut.
or no haircut.
I think
it's becoming boring already.
I heard talks like he's donating some of the earnings he's getting from the attention to charity, but it's still not. It's still not. It's still not.
It's high time we let it go.
It's that time we let it go and switch is. But for him, he's going to celebrate West Ham.
He's making money
The
also.
money is making money. So his followers jumped up overnight. About 400,000 followers added to his Instagram page yesterday with the loss, and he live streamed the watch along while he was watching the game, and someone saw him celebrate when West Ham scored the goal.
So
that's to show you where his heart lies currently, and it's not much from a fan point of view right now. I feel it's not of personal ambition rather than for the club.
All right,
and fans, I think Manchester United fans should tilt away and celebrate what they have under Michael Carrick. He's still unbeaten, 5 games now. Nobody expected 13 points from it. He's gotten 13 points. 2 clean sheets, considered few goals, still in the top 4. I think they are good to go.
Oh, beautiful. What a way for Manchester United fans. It's all moral energy this wonderful morning. Let's move away from that and just look at some of the games to expect tonight in the Premier League, because we still have more actions tonight where Aston Villa are going to welcome Brighton of Albion. It's going to be Crystal Palace against Burnley. It's going to be Manchester City against Fulham. It's going to be Nottingham Forest against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And there you have it, Sunderland welcome Liverpool. Mighty games to look forward to, but what are your picks quickly?
My picks tonight are Manchester City versus Fulham, because City are chasing Arsenal. Arsenal don't play till tomorrow, in the London derby against Brentford. This is a chance for Pep Guardiola and his side to get 3 points within breathing space for Arsenal, and I think his players will be released that they're playing in front of their fans, and Haaland is getting back. Ryan Cherki is banging in the goals. This guy from Egypt. Semenyo is right there for him. So I think they're going to be licking their lips and say, okay, this is Fulham. Let's get 3 points. Let's breathe on Arsenal neck before they play, and it's going to be a good morale booster for them. And one of the picks for tonight again is Sunderland against Liverpool. Sunderland are coming from a heavy defeat against Arsenal over the weekend. They've been very fantastic on their own front this season. Liverpool are not the strongest of side right now, and the slot adds loads of questions he has to answer from Liverpool board and fans. It's going to be an exciting watch as well. And then Aston Villa against Brighton. Brighton lost at home to Crystal Palace during the weekend. Villa are looking to keep up with the chasing pack and get the victory again and move away from Manchester United. Manchester United dropped 2 points yesterday. That gave them a chance to extend the lead over the chasing pack for the 2 teams chasing Arsenal as well. So those are the games I'm looking forward to tonight. Aston Villa against Brighton, Manchester City against Fulham, and Sunderland against Liverpool. All
right, quickly, what are you looking forward to? You can drop that in the comment section right there. And come on, why do you like me going on with my money? Why not just join, and try to win a sum of 5,000 naira by just dropping your correct predictions, and you stand a chance to win. And make sure you use the hashtag Dominion Sport. Make sure while dropping your predictions, you use the hashtag Dominion Sport. Because of our time, let me just give you the update that Olympique Marseille announced overnight that they have parted ways with manager Roberto De Zerbi. The news comes after Sunday's heavy 5-0 loss at PSG and the recent elimination from the UEFA champion. Another manager, not having bread on the table.
Yes, he's not having bread on the table, but he's going to go home with a lot of bread. Because they terminated his contract. They have to pay him some settlement. He's going to go away with that. But for Marcel, I think it's the way to go. He seems to have lost it. He lost the game in the Champions League. They couldn't even qualify for the playoff rounds. They're not doing well on the home front right now. They slipped from title contenders to chasing the Champions League ticket. And they are not currently the best Marseille side we know. He has a flurry of players. Greenwood, he has Aubameyang, he has I have loads of players, quality players that can challenge for the Ligue 1. And it's between PSG and some other team right now. Lens right now. So that's sad for Marseille. They need to turn things around quickly. And for the kind of football Marseille run, not necessarily the manager that comes in. It's not necessarily the man in charge. They build their projects for long term, and anybody that comes aboard can galvanize the players and get the result for them. So they'll be looking forward to get their new man now. They've not announced who is going to be in charge for the games over the weekend. They're out of the Champions League. They're out of the Copa, the French Cup. And this is not looking good for them. They lost to PSG at the final of the Cup earlier in the year too. So not good times for him, and football is a result-oriented sport. Yeah, as good as your last game, and the work lies at the table of the manager. So he's getting the sack. He's gotten the sack now. The players will look within themselves, support the new manager that comes in, and get things going for them.
All right, that is it on today's sport conversation. I want to say big thanks to our guest, Biola Solace-Chukwu, for the insights and tennis intelligence. If you missed any part of the show, I'll catch the recap on our social platforms. I am Abe Portoluwanimi, and this is Dominion Sport, where the energy never drops and the analysis eats differently. Stay winning, stay informed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.